I'm here at Horsemen's Park, unfortunately without my partner Eric Christensen. He can't make it, and so there isn't going to be the witty interplay that we normally would demonstrate when doing this, but I am going to publish what Eric has written about his views that American Pharoah will win the Triple Crown this Saturday, and I'm going to discuss my analysis of the Belmont Stakes. But I'm going to start off by telling a couple stories about two of the last Triple Crown winners. And I remember these two races vividly. I don't remember Seattle Slew's win very well, and I don't know why, but I remember Secretariat because I was in my mother's house in Schuyler, Nebraska. I think I was by myself watching the race in the living room. Maybe my mom came in and watched it, but I think she was probably busy working, which is what she did around the clock. And I remember watching Secretariat get farther and farther ahead. I remember watching the splits as they were showing on the screen and realizing how incredibly fast he was running, almost unbelievable. And I was standing there crying when he ran down that stretch. That was one of the most incredible feats I've ever seen any athlete perform, and it remains perhaps the greatest single athletic feat any being that lives has ever done. And I still remember that, just being stunned by Secretariat. And then in 1978, when we had our last Triple Crown winner, that was affirmed. And of course with the great rider Steve Couthen, and also the colorful trainer Les Barrera, I believe was his name. This was really a great group of connections for the horse, and also a great story about Couthen. And those battles between Affirmed and Aladar were just incredible. And the final race in the Belmont is perhaps often noted by many others other than me as one of the best horse races of all time. And again, when Affirmed got it done, it was just such a wonderful feeling. He was my favorite horse. I wanted him to win. Funny story about that day, I was with a friend named Tom Edmiston, and we couldn't figure out what the drink was for the Belmont. We looked and we researched a little bit. There wasn't any drink, so we just created one. We had the Belmont Boilermaker, which was shots of whiskey and beer, and I might have a Boilermaker this weekend on Saturday when I'm done with work to honor American Pharoah, because I do think American Pharoah will win the Triple Crown Saturday, and I think he actually has a chance to win this race fairly easily. Now, that's easier said than done. Certainly it hasn't been done. A lot of great horses have not achieved this, but I don't think that's going to be the story on Saturday. I'm going to go through the field, and I'll start off first of all with horses I think have really no chance. Could be wrong about this, but I don't think Tail of Verve has any chance at all to run back the kind of race he did in the Preakness. I think he'll bounce. I think he ran his biggest race of his life. The only hope he has is if the track is muddy or sloppy. That obviously improved him. If that occurs, then I might consider him a little bit more, but I really don't think he belongs in this race. I think Dallas Stewart has had some great luck in the Preakness, certainly. I don't expect that horse to be in the picture coming down the stretch. Another horse that I don't like, which I started off liking initially in my Derby stable, and for the Derby, is Fermento. I think that Nick Zito is just sort of dreaming in entering this horse here. His best race, he runs fifth in this race. I think he has no shot, simply not fast enough to keep up. And there are good horses in this race that he can't compete with. I just don't think he has any shot at all. Now, the ones that I do think have a little possibility, one is I still think a bet against horse, and that's Materiality. Now, I believe Materiality will be the third choice in this race, most likely at between 7 to 10 to 1, trained by Todd Pletcher. But I think the idea that this horse is going to upset American Pharoah when he has run 4 times in his life, I just don't buy that. This horse is very lightly raced, very unseasoned, and very unlikely to defeat American Pharoah. In fact, I think he's going to try to provide pace pressure with American Pharoah, and I don't think he can keep up, and I think that discourages horses, and I expect to see him dropping back on the final turn, and I don't think he'll light the board. And I think a lot of people believe he almost certainly will. I think they're wrong. That's why I say he's a bet against horse. I don't like it. Now, when we start to get to horses that I think have a little chance to be on that 1, 2, 3, 4 board, I would say Keen Ice, certainly. Keen Ice is a bit of a plotter. He is not a horse with any spectacular turn of foot, but he always is running at the end of the race. He's always making up ground. He probably will enjoy the extra distance, skip the Preakness wisely, prepare it up to this race. He's a horse that could run 3rd or 4th. That's probably the best he can do, but that's still pretty darn good, and they're being smart in entering him in the Belmont, where he has a chance to be stakes placed in one of the best stakes races you can be in, the Belmont Stakes. I give him a little possibility of being at the bottom of a try or a super. Also, I believe you have to respect Mubtahish. Simply because of the connections, the trainer is so good. They made the decision to stay in the U.S. and to give the horse another shot in a longer race. Again, he has plenty of experience running in longer distance races overseas. I think he's trained very well up to the race. I expect him to be probably in the top 3. I think Mubtahish is very likely to run quite well in this race. Now that still leaves a couple horses I haven't mentioned, which is Frosted and Made from Lucky. I think Made from Lucky is the horse everyone is overlooking. And for the world of me, I don't know why. I guess it's because Todd Pletcher has 2 horses. The buzz is all about materiality. Well, here's the deal. It's a pretty good angle, as Rick Sullivan, a friend of mine, has taught me, to play the horse of the trainer that has better odds. Made from Lucky will have much better odds than Materiality, and I think Made from Lucky, having just won the Peter Pan, is quite likely to move up again. He's a horse on the improve, and I think he'll get better. I like Made for Lucky, possibly second in the race. And then the other horse that you have to consider, of course, is Frosted. He will be the second favorite in the race. He certainly ran a big race the last time he ran in the Derby. The race before that was also good. But here's the deal on Frosted. He's probably going to be 4-1. I don't think that's good value on this horse. I think he ran one big race against nobody in New York. It was a terrible field, and he wins that one. Then he runs 4th in the Derby, and everyone says, oh, he had so much trouble. There were other horses that had just as much trouble as Frosted. I seriously don't think Frosted can beat American Pharoah. I just don't think that's going to happen. And there's a possibility he gets kind of common again, as he has in some of his races, and just throws a bad race. Frosted is someone you got to use because of the last 2 races being so good, and because McLaughlin is a good trainer. But look at his bad form, his back form, which is a bad form in many cases. He ran some awful races. He could do it again, and then he's off the board. All of a sudden your trifectas and supers become a lot better. A good strategy for this race would be to bet American Pharoah on top, all in the 10-set superfecta. See how that would have worked for you in the Preakness. You would have made a ton of money. If the favorite horses, Frosted, Materiality, don't land 2nd and 3rd, this trifecta could still pay well, superfecta too, with American Pharoah on top. Otherwise, I would play American Pharoah on the top in the trifecta, $5 trifecta, to the 5 horses I mentioned with the chance in the 2nd and 3rd position. I think the 5 horses to play are Made from Lucky, Frosted, Mubtahish, Keen Ice, and Materiality. Play those 5 underneath American Pharoah. The only horse to put on top, though, the only horse is American Pharoah. Now, I'm going to close with just a few things about him. Just listen to what Bob Baffert is saying this week. He's loose, he's joking, he's confident. He knows he's got the best horse he's ever trained, and he's trained some really good horses. This is going to be the Triple Crown winner, and we're all going to be very happy about that this Saturday.